Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
What's up?
Oh, my God.
Oh, is that outdated? I don't keep
No,
up.
it's back, man. You're going to bring
cool.
it back.
Cool.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
John, it's Comic-Con preview day. Once again, it is
That's
upon
right.
us.
It's starting up today.
Starts today. I'm supposed to go to a McFarlane Toys thing today, but I'm not going.
It's a long drive. Well, it's not that long from here.
I'm
It's
not
about an
going.
hour and a half.
He's like, nah, that's a not dog.
And of course, most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics that we get lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, that's when we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, observation, or an issue you'd like us to discuss, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news about this tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to this show, say on your podcast feed, either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching the show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a question if you want. And if you send one in when we're not live, well, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started off with this, shall we? You know, one of the best things we saw at CinemaCon was a preview, the follow-up to Barbarians, if you will, to the new movie Weapons with Josh Brolin going to be in it. And our Silver Surfer is in it as well.
Julia Garner.
And it floored us. The presentation they showed us. It just looked creepy and great because, Rob, I'm a sucker for great hooks in a movie, right? Like the opening of The Bourne Identity. A cargo ship in the middle of the ocean, nothing else around, just comes across a guy just floating there. How did he get there? Or the notion of this, an entire class of school children in the middle of the night got up out of their homes and all walked out into the darkness at the exact same minute as each other and have never been seen from again. And only kids from that one class. Hooked. Absolutely hooked. And then the whole premise of it, the whole presentation they showed of it looked absolutely fantastic. I know, Rob, for you, it's been one of your absolute most anticipated films of the year. I know you've been looking forward to this a lot. Well, the first official reactions from some of the critics and pundits have now come out on the line.
All right.
And they are all singing its praises. Let's start off by one of my favorite websites, joeblow.com. Good Canadian kids you know over there. They wrote, Weapons is yet another win for Zach Cregger. The cast is superb. Julia Garner, Alden Ehrenreich, Josh Brolin, all shine. But one performance will blow fans away. The mystery surrounding this thriller unfolds with style and genuine moments of terror. Our friend Jermaine Lucier writes, Weapons is beyond messed up, and I love every second of it. It's Magnolia, the horror movie.
Oh,
I love that description. As multiple characters circle a big, creepy mystery, a bit of a slow burn, it pays off in huge, awesome, gory, disturbing ways. Less shocking than Barbarian, but much better.
wow.
That's high praise, calling it much better than Barbarian. That's a creepy image right there all by itself. Anyway, Chris Evangelista writes, Weapons is an absolute blast, a creepy, funny ensemble piece that takes a Magnolia / Pulp Fiction storytelling approach to unleash a memorable suburban nightmare. The grand finale had me crackling with twisted glee. Let's see. Shaq Lambert wrote, Weapons is fantastic, bigger in scope than Barbarian, but much tighter in focus. Cregger makes great use of his ensemble cast and their interconnected stories, and the third act goes off the rails. Full review, blah, 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 blah. Next week. All right. Griffin Schiller writes, Zach Cregger has crafted a horror masterpiece and the best film of the year with Weapons. It's Prisoners by the way of Magnolia. I've seen that comparison a lot. With some of the Cohen's absurdist humor, an absolutely brilliant commentary on the attitudes and institutions during the fallout of a communal tragedy. So that's pretty good. Our own friend Perry Nemiroff says, weapons rules. If you're looking for a movie that keeps you on your toes from start to finish and delivers the unexpected time and time again, this is it. Next Best Picture wrote, Weapons was one of my favorite films of 2025 for most of its runtime, until the final act brought it down a few notches, which is funny because a lot of the other people saying the final act is what sends it through the stratosphere. Anyway, and I'm sure I won't be alone in that feeling. Still, Zach Cregger once again proves he's a gift for crafting a haunting atmosphere using jump scares and more. Anyway, so they all going like that. Again, going to say what I said about one of the other films the other day. I'm sure there are negative reactions out there. I just didn't come across any in all of my searching. Like, I just read through the list that Joe Blow put together, but I looked through a couple of other lists as well. I haven't come across. I'm sure there will be. I'm just saying I haven't seen one yet. And they're all saying this is a worthy follow-up to Barbarians, which was like this sleeper hit that went, and I was late to the game. It took a lot of people telling me it was great to finally sit down and watch it. This looks amazing. By the way, can we just look at this picture for a second? Dear God.
It's the Joker. That's the Joker origin story.
That's right. That's what Weapons is. It is the Joker. That image is nightmare fuel all by itself. Anyway, Rob, we had a feeling when they showed us the presentation for Weapons that this could be something special. This could be something like really great. It sounds like maybe they achieved it. What are you liking that you're hearing out of all the reactions? And is there anything that's concerning you a bit out of the reactions?
Well, this is easily one of my most eagerly awaited films of the year. And, you know, I have to mention that Roy Lee, who is the executive producer of this movie and was a big champion of Zach Cregger's first movie, Barbarian, I don't know how that man does it, but he has a conduit to the greatest scripts in Hollywood.
Well, and the word prolific gets applied to Roy.
Unbelievable. And his taste in horror is impeccable. I don't know why he doesn't start his own studio, because everything that comes out, I mean, this year alone, he's got his name on Minecraft, How to Train Your Dragon, Companion. He's got the upcoming The Long Walk that he championed,
which I cannot wait for that one too. I'm really
unbelievable.
excited about that
and
one.
Even when he makes movies like Boy Kills World, was it Boy Kills World?
Yep.
That's another. The scripts he finds, the material he finds, and the IPs that he's going after, no one in Hollywood has better taste than he does. And this is an example of something that, you know, he nurtured a filmmaker in Zach Cregger by getting Barbarian made. Although, where's the physical media of Barbarian? But so this script, I may have tasted a little bit of this script early on.
Oh,
maybe. And I said when I read this script was bonkers. That's why I was so excited about the movie. And I did describe it. Somebody asked me, because I wasn't going to tell anybody all about it. They said, well, what is it? I go, well, I was describing it as kind of the pulp fiction of horror. But now that I think about it, the Magnolia of horror is a better description. I don't love Magnolia. So it wasn't I love Pulp Fiction, so it wasn't on the tip of my tongue. But John, Zach Cregger, he came out of like a comedy group. You know, he's part of a comedy team. And this guy has my attention. Let's just say that. And all I can tell you is this makes me even more excited for what I like to call Zach Cregger's space movie. That's all I'm going to say. And if Barbarian was one thing and Weapons is the, you know, and by the way, this was a package, again, coming out of Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi's Warner Brothers. They bought in to a new, exciting creator. It was a big package that Roy Lee took to the studio. And to see another win for Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi by championing a new filmmaker who, by the way, after Barbarian does not go and jump onto some big IP. He doesn't go for the big money. He doesn't go from Safety Not Guaranteed to Jurassic World. What does he do?
To be fair, we don't know if he was offered Jurassic World.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, to be fair, we don't know what he was offered or not.
It's like involved with a new Resident Evil or whatever. But I would say this. You know, smart move. He goes and he writes and directs. Auteur Vision brings this out. I guarantee you this is like nothing you've ever seen before. And I cannot wait to see this movie. I've been waiting to see this movie for 2 years. Can't wait to see it. Zach Cregger is the real deal. And he has a producer in Roy Lee behind him that's going to make that shit happen. which I can't wait, dude. This is what we want from movies. We want original visions. There's an article I read today about how exhibitors are talking about, well, superhero and horror fatigue because we're getting mediocre movies. This is not one of them.
Horror fatigue.
And, I know,
look
but
at Sinners. Look how well that did.
well, I know and that's another thing with Sinners, with Ryan Coogler doing Sinners, and Warner Brothers putting out Weapons. You have two horror-related films that are also original horror that are auteurist visions. It goes to show you other studios should take note. This is what we want, and not the Blumhouse variety. Not to slam.
Hey, Blumhouse puts out some pretty good
I've
stuff.
loved a lot of Blumhouse movies, but these things I think are edgier than what Blumhouse is doing. I don't know if Blumhouse would have made Sinners or Weapons because they're not, IP based and they're a little less traditional. But they've been doing great. I love Lee Whannell's Invisible Man.
Yeah, and they've done several things that are really good. And you know what it reminds me of a little bit with Krager? The start of Jordan Peele's career.
Right.
Except, whereas Jordan Peele came out, and I love Jordan Peele, and
I do too.
Obviously Get Out was like such a revelation to everybody. The difference though is I haven't been enamored with anything else Jordan Peele's put out since.
Yeah.
Right? Like I thought Us was quite frankly not very good.
The first half was great though.
The first half was very intriguing, but then it had no real resolution, no satisfying resolution to it. Then I wasn't very big on Nope, to be honest. It had its moments.
Yeah.
Had its moments.
I agree with you. Too off, yeah.
But it sounds like Krager is following up Barbarians with something maybe even better, which would be pretty fun if he did.
And I'm looking forward to Jordan Peele's Him. That weird football, like...
I wish I could say I was, but they gave us a presentation. By the way, he didn't direct that.
No, he just produced.
He produced it. He didn't direct it, but that was one of the presentations at CinemaCon that didn't really intrigue me.
And by the way, you know what I want them to do?
What's that?
I want Key and Peele to get back together.
Oh, and stop your sentence right there. I will give anything for Key and Peele to get back together.
Okay, but you know what I want them to do? Just I think that we should call Paramount. They should finance doing that sketch of those two guys having just come out of seeing Naked Gun.
Oh, yeah, the Liam Neeson.
Yeah, the Neeson thing. But their reaction, I want to see their out of the theater reaction to Naked Gun.
I would give so much for that.
I would pay good money just to see that sketch.
Weren't they supposed to make The Substitute? Do you remember they announced they were going to make The Substitute? Ron? That's one of the greatest sketches they've ever done. But anyway, never happened. Anyway, guys, we're going off the rails here a little bit.
Weapons, dude.
Question is for you. What do you think about these first reactions to the new upcoming horror film Weapons? Believe me, the stuff they showed us at CinemaCon was fantastic. Can't wait to hear it. All the reactions so far are everything we wanted to hear. Have you had this movie on your radar? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, when James Gunn started to talk about all the projects that he was looking at doing as a part of this brand new DCU, one of the names that got floated out there was Booster Gold. Now, it wasn't an official announcement or anything like that, but Booster Gold is out there. It's still not officially announced, but they are now making real progress on trying to see if they can develop something. Because Deadline is now reporting that Booster Gold, HBO Max series, progressing with a pilot written by Our Flag Means Death creator David Jenkins. And they go on to write the following. Here's a big one that just in time for San Diego Comic-Con. HBO Max is progressing with its Booster Gold TV series and has attached Our Flag Means Death creator David Jenkins to write the pilot. If taken to series, we understand the plan is for Jenkins to then become the showrunner. Coming off of back-to-back landmark Emmy nomination days for The Penguin, Booster Gold could therefore become one of Warner Brothers Discovery's next big DC Comics TV adaptations. All right, first of all, I never finished Our Flag Means Death. I don't know why, because all the episodes I watched, I liked.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I didn't finish it, but I never finished it. But that, everybody I know who watched it loves that show.
It's great.
I've not talked to a single person say, yeah, watch it. No. And I haven't talked to a ton of people that watched it, but everybody I know that watched it absolutely loved it. When you understand the character of Booster Gold, like let's say we were talking about, I don't know, let's pull a name out. Let's say KG Beast. I always go to KG Beast.
Right.
And let's say Max is doing a KG Beast series. and then they announced the guy who did Our Flag Means Death is going to write and possibly showrun it. That would be interesting. But you say the guy who did Our Flag Means Death is doing Booster Gold. That goes from just being interesting to being, that sounds wild, if you understand the Booster Gold character. Depending on how James Gunn wants to approach the character and wants him to come across. But, I mean, how could you do Booster Gold any other way? Which then re-elevates the question about, well, what about Blue Beetle? Because a lot of people want to see Booster Gold and Blue Beetle together. But anyway, let's stick on this. Look, I always prefer projects to be movies. That's always my number one preference. There are a few exceptions to that. But that being said, if you had asked me just 5 years ago, and I think I might have said this before, do I really see Booster Gold being a reliable, palatable, a real tangible character you can bring to the screen in a live action environment? I would have had my doubts. But seeing how this James Gunn DCU is unfolding and seeing who they're going after as talent, I mean, it's hard not to get kind of excited about this. Anyway, Rob, you see this news. What's your reaction to this?
I bought Booster Gold 1 off the newsstand, and I loved it. I thought it was great. Again, it came out in that era where the comedic Justice League comic from the mid-'80s had come out, which I loved, which James Gunn has clearly taken a lot from. And so, look, again, it comes down to tone. This could descend into ridiculousness, and I wouldn't like it. There you go. I wouldn't like it as much. But with the tone of Our Flag Means Death,
oh my God,
I come on. I mean, it's like, this is like the perfect showrunner to do this. And I for one, I hope this happens. I really do, because boy, this could be great.
What is Booster Gold and Peacemaker and what's his name? The
Guy Gardner?
Guy Gardner in one room look like?
I would pay to see that. And his android flying companion Skeets, his AI. I think it'd be great. This just really excites me. Although I will say this. A lot of comedy happening in this new DC universe. I think they need to, maybe the Clayface will counteract that.
Well, so why am I freezing on the name of the guy who wrote Clayface? Haunting
Flanagan, Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan.
But then he was like rewritten too or something.
But James Gunn did an interview after that saying, oh no, this is still Flanagan's script.
Oh, okay.
This is absolutely still like they put a couple of touches on. I said, this is 100% Mike Flanagan's script. So you got Mike Flanagan writing it. And James Gunn already saying, oh no, like every DC project, he said, will be its own unique thing. They'll tie together, but they're not all going to have the same tone. And he went on to really emphasize that, the Clayface movie is absolutely going to be a body horror film in the vein of the recent Demi Moore Substance, right?
Yeah, if you go that route, I'm in. Count me in.
With Mike Flanagan writing the script.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too. I like that James Gunn said that. I want all the films to be diverse. I think that Supergirl is going to be very distinct from Superman.
Yes.
Especially if it's based on Woman of Tomorrow. But at the end of the day, for me, and I know everybody's different, and I'm only speaking for myself, all I really care about is if you entertain me. And if you put something in front of me that is constantly, and that's tough to do, but is constantly the quality level of Superman and constantly the quality level of Peacemaker, 3 years from now, I'll be very satisfied, even if there wasn't a lot of diversity in tone. But I do prefer the fact that they're going with in the realm of diversity in tone, which, by the way, does bring us back to Peacemaker for a second. I am getting more and more excited about that. And they just said there is a major tie-in between, and it's not just the cameo of the Justice Gang, but there's a major tie-in between Superman and Peacemaker. And I'm very anxious to see how that all works out. I am loving this new DCU so far. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It sounds like while it is not an official announcement, they are moving forward with trying to develop this Booster Gold, and they've apparently got the showrunner they want on board now with the guy from Our Flag Means Death. Do you like this idea? Are there other heroes you want to come see first? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, in talking about the future of the MCU, a lot of people have been waiting for, particularly when you talk about Spider-Man, any minute now, live action Miles Morales is going to come in. Live action Miles Morales, any minute now. He's going to absolutely pop up in this, and then he doesn't pop in whatever that was. Well, now he's absolutely going to pop up in Doomsday, or he's absolutely going to pop up in Secret Wars. And one of the things that we've talked about for a long time, Rob, is nobody should expect that. As far as we know, as far as we understand, and our understanding is not complete, but as far as we understand, Sony ain't letting them do that. Well, Kevin Feige was directly confronted with the question, are we about to get Miles Morales in live action MCU? To which he just sadly said for many people, no. This comes to us from Variety. Feige was more definitive about the potential for another highly anticipated Marvel character, Spider-Man's Miles Morales, showing up in the MCU in the near future. That is nowhere, he said. Until Sony Pictures, which holds the film rights to the character, completes its animated Miles trilogy with 2027 Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, Feige explained, we've been told to stay away. Now, I need to clarify for those of you listening to the podcast feed where the quotes are. Kevin Feige did not say, once Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is done, then we can look. No. That was Variety's commentary.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige's quotes were, that is nowhere. We've been told to stay away from Miles Morales. All right. This is something that most people have refused to believe, but we've been saying for a long time that you're not about to see that. Because look at it from both perspectives. Look at it from both the perspective of Sony and look at it at the perspective from Marvel. If you're Sony, and the best thing, and I feel comfortable saying that, the best thing you've got going right now,
Craven.
well, I mean, aside from Craven, clearly aside from Craven the Hunter.
You don't mess with Tiki Tacky.
don't mess with Ricky Tiki Tacky, man. Justice for Ricky Tiki Tacky. It's the Spider-Verse stuff, 100%. Actually, it's funny. I just watched a GQ interview with James Gunn yesterday, and he was ranking his 5 favorite superhero movies of all time. At number 5 was Deadpool.
Wow.
At number 1 was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. He thinks that's the greatest comic book movie ever made, and I love him for it because I think Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, I think those are de facto period end statement live action or animated. I think those are the 2 best Spider-Man movies ever made. So if you're Sony, and that's the best thing you've got going right now, you don't let somebody else play in that playground. That is the one thing that you've got. That is, if anybody wants to see Miles, you got to come here to see it. Now, do I believe that's forever? I don't think that's forever. But if you're Sony, there's absolutely zero incentive to now let a competing version of Miles Morales appear on screen in live action form. Now look at it from Marvel's point of view. Miles Morales in the comics was introduced when literally Spider-Man was 60 years old. I mean, Spider-Man had been around for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades, and they decided to introduce something else, a variation of it, something to mix it up a bit.
Sure.
With the MCU, well, Holland is no longer a child. We have a very young Tom Holland that they're putting a lot of emphasis on. Their last Tom Holland-led Spider-Man film came this close to joining the most exclusive of clubs in Hollywood, the $2 billion club. Came that close to getting into the $2 billion club. Are you going to water that down by bringing in, now we have another live action Spider-Man at the same time that we've got this? Are you going to dilute that? Now, I love the Miles. I've grown to love the Miles Morales character, but I love him exactly where he is. And Tom Holland is cooking right now with Spider-Man in the MCU. Why would you endanger that? Why would you risk that? Why would you dilute that by bringing in another competing Spider-Man in the same live action universe? So, number one, it completely makes sense that Kevin Feige is saying, hey, we've been told to keep hands off. And I think that's good for Kevin Feige because that gives him an out, because I don't think he was ever planning on using live action Miles Morales anyway. You can drop these cute little hints to him with Childish Gambino and all that kind of stuff. You
Sure.
can do that. But I'm glad he clarified it. And again, from Sony's point of view, why would you let Marvel do it? And if you're Marvel, why would you do it anyway? So anyway, Rob, you heard the quotes here from Kevin Feige. Missed opportunity, makes sense. What do you think further down the line means? How do you see this whole thing?
Well, look, the Miles Morales movies, like you said, those two animated films are not just great superhero movies. They're groundbreaking animated movies. They've pushed the art form, especially in the feature film level, further. Certainly they're audacious for a studio to have made, especially the second one. I can't wait to see what they're doing with the third one. You know, what is it? Beyond the Spider-Verse. The third one, I mean, this is a Tiffany franchise for them. It's something that's unique to Sony. No one's going, oh, is that, Kevin Feige in the MCU? No, this is a Sony project, and I think a lot of people at first might have had second thoughts. I remember when we were first talking about this movie, people were like, is this going to work? I mean, how can it compete? It's its own identity. Nobody is sitting there thinking, are those Across the Spider-Verse movies the same as the Tom Holland Spider-Mans? No, there's no brand confusion there. And I think it makes sense. Why wouldn't Sony protect their investment? And they don't have to deal with, they've been very nice about allowing Marvel to come in, and they've been co-producing, or Sony distributes them, but Marvel gets to have creative control over these Spider-Man movies. They've been very nice about that. So the fact that they have their own these animated films is great, and I think it's great for everybody. I'm in no hurry to. I want to see these animated Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse movies continue. Hey, if they want to make 4, 5, and 6, be my guest.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely go for it.
Yeah,
because you know why? Every side character they've created in that universe has been gold.
Yeah, of
We've
course.
got a live action version of the Nicolas Cage Spider-Man Noir coming. I would have liked to have seen the animated version of that.
Yeah.
But I love the what's Johnson's first name from New Girl, who does the voice of Peter Parker in the animated.
Yeah, he's Nick in New Girl.
Yeah, Nick in New Girl.
yeah,
It's something Johnson. Anyway,
Yeah.
I love that Peter Parker. I absolutely love Jake Johnson's his name.
And Gwen,
Resident
and
Justice.
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen is fantastic. She deserves her own movie. That's, by the way, voiced by from Sinners, Anne's favorite, Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, it's
Nobody mentioned Peter Porkins.
I was about to say Peter Porker.
or Porker.
Peter, come on. Have you ever smelt a delicious pie? And he's flying through the air. It's voiced by John Mulaney.
Yeah.
So not only did they create this great movie, these great key characters, they created a great potential cinematic universe. Spider-Punk, of course, in the second one, Oscar Herrera's mentioning Spider-Punk in the second one. Spider-Man 99 with Oscar Isaac doing the voice of that. I mean, they have just killed it with that.
Killed it.
And I want them to make more than one every 4 years. I don't need one every 6 months, but maybe one more than once every 4 years. But again, like, why would you want that over there right now? It just messes up your property here, and it dilutes the property over there. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Kevin Feige is basically straight up and saying, yeah, we got that. We're gone nowhere with a live action Miles Morales. We've been told to keep our hands off. Now, I don't think that's going to be forever, but it definitely is the status right now. Do you think that's wise, like I do? Or maybe you think it's a missed opportunity. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. By the way, Rihanna in the arena in the live chat is also mentioning the Ben Reilly character. How great did they do Ben Reilly?
They did Ben Reilly great.
Emo Ben Reilly. I loved it. It was fantastic. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Speaking of recent Kevin Feige comments and Miles Morales, Spider-Man, all that kind of stuff, one of the big interesting things, some people excited when Disney Plus was coming out, was people, for some reason, really looking forward to a really tied, interconnected television universe and movie universe. Because, of course, while they would drop these vague hints of the incident in New York, Daredevil and Punisher and Jessica Jones were all very distinctly separate from the MCU. while there was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would make references to the MCU, the MCU and Kevin Feige always kept that completely hands off. And Kevin Feige recently confirmed it was never part of our real thing. Even though Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would bring on guest stars from the MCU, Kevin Feige said, I had nothing to do with that. We are never acknowledging that. And even with WandaVision, even showing that the Darkhold was a completely different thing, all that kind of stuff. But when Disney Plus came out, that's when people thought, now we're going to get this fully integrated. And sure enough, they started that way. We've been hearing some comments recently that have been suggesting that Marvel and Kevin Feige were going to create more and more space between the television world that Marvel is doing on Disney Plus and the movie world. And now we've had Kevin Feige say the most definitive thing about that yet. This comes to us from Variety, who wrote this. While Marvel's feature output is slowing down to at most 3 films a year, a pace the MCU first reached in 2017, its TV output is cooling off even more, with just a single live action show per year. And the shows they do make will have far less overlap with the feature films, to disabuse audiences from the expectation that they have to watch everything to follow what's happening on any MCU project, something I've been saying for years Marvel has to be very, very careful of. By way of example, Feige cited the Marvel TV shows of the 2010s, like Daredevil and Jessica Jones on Netflix, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter on ABC, which were produced by separate, now defunct division of Marvel Entertainment, so they had a tenuous connection to the MCU, if at all. Then Feige says, I think allowing a TV show to be a TV show is what we're returning to, he said. Asked if the events at the end of Thunderbolts, when most of the population of Manhattan was enveloped in an inky black shroud of depressive nothingness, would affect season 2 of the New York City-based Disney Plus series Daredevil Born Again, Feige simply said no. At the same time, the lines between film and TV is not ironclad. For example, John Bernthal will play Daredevil, his Daredevil Born Again character, the Punisher, in both an upcoming TV special and opposite Tom Holland 2026 Spider-Man Brand New Day. Okay, so my takeaway from this is Kevin Feige is basically confirming what we've been kind of hearing the rumblings on. They want to separate now the Disney Plus TV stuff from the movie cinematic universe stuff. They are drastically reducing. Now, this year, we're still getting 2 because we had Ironheart and we've got Wonder Man. I believe Wonder Man's still coming out this year, I think. Coming. I'm getting more excited about that one. Anyway, and they're going to reduce it down to 1, and they're going to really have them be self-contained stories. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have a character crossover from it. I just don't think when we see Frank Punisher in the next Spider-Man movie, that he's going to be carrying narrative threads from Daredevil.
No,
right.
In
100%.
Him, right? We're also going to talk about Mephisto in a minute. They've got bigger plans for Mephisto. They just introduced him in a TV series as well. Rob, going back to the days of the Arrowverse, I have held the unpopular belief, and I still do, that the best way to handle this is to keep them church and state. Keep television separate from the movies. Because you are taking away creative freedom from the television showrunners, because everything they do now has to fall in line with what's happening with the movies. And I loved, especially the first few years of the Arrowverse, that it was completely separate from what was going on in the DCEU. They could tell their own stories with their own tone and have their characters do whatever they want them to do and not be beholden to the movies. Because you run into problems like what they had with the Marvels, where it's like, wait a minute, these are all TV show characters. And watching the trailers makes me believe I need to watch those shows in order to be able to understand what's going on. And Kevin Feige is now completely aware that that's become a problem. So I got to tell you, Rob, I like the idea of them keeping it separate, but maybe not so strictly that you can't have the occasional overlap like Punisher coming into the next Spider-Man movie. Anyway, how do you interpret what Kevin Feige's been saying here? And is this the right move for them right now?
Well, I think it's absolutely the right move. I mean, also, if you're not going to put the time and creative effort into the TV shows that you're putting into the movies, like I go back to Secret Invasion. You know, Secret Invasion would have affected the entire MCU. Literally a Skrull invasion. People are being replaced. Nick Fury's in the mix. And that turned into just a sludge of a show. And yet that would have been the most important thing going on Earth. And it would have affected the entire Marvel universe. But the show was so lame that you're looking at it going, okay, well, you've just diminished both your TV show and the MCU at large, because the ramifications are not even, it hasn't even been mentioned again. Ever. I don't expect it ever will. Yeah, that didn't happen.
Don't ever mention
Never say anything. And then the TVA, which I think is a bridge too far, the TVA is now permeated. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine, and now the TVA is probably going to play a big part in Doomsday and Secret Wars. I mean, I think the TVA is this parody weird. It's like Terry Gilliam's Brazil was inserted into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think what Kevin Feige.
No, yeah, just real quick, like it made sense when Kang was the problem, but what they did was they surgically removed Kang, but they still have the scar of the TVA. It's like
and they have to deal with this weird. It's a parody of Office Space and all. It's just a weird thing. It's fine. I won't complain. But I think the idea of like in comic.
He says after 2 minutes of complaining.
I know. In comic books, don't get me started. I could be talking about Star Trek.
That's true.
The thing though is in comic books, when a character would cross over, you could do like a limited series where Wolverine would team up with somebody else.
Yeah.
And it would be a great story. And it's in real life, you know, you might go out with a friend of yours, but the friend of yours that you went out with, people don't always ask you, hey, how come you're not with that guy all the time?
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's how life works. And this idea that superheroes, that everything that happens in one of their stories has to affect everything else that goes on in the Marvel Universe has always seemed odd to me. That's why I loved the Werewolf by Night one-off.
Oh,
that
just was so good.
Yeah, or the Guardians Holiday Special.
Yep.
You know, that was just a self-contained story that you can tell, and getting back to that idea, which, by the way, is the comic book way to do things. You know, you can have crossovers, you can reference them if you want or not. You know, that's what life is. So to have Punisher being in Spider-Man is just putting two characters that have a long comic history together, and you have them come in.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't talk about you don't talk about with one friend what you did with all your other friends a month ago.
Right.
You know, so it makes sense that the Punisher and Spider-Man cross paths. And Punisher's not going to sit there and go, let me tell you about the time Matt Murdock and I were at Loggerheads.
Right.
You know, I mean, nobody does that. And everybody will accept that as truth. So I think this is a great way to proceed. And having less shows, I mean, they're going to think them through.
Right.
You know, you're not going to get a lot of things that aren't. This is why I think this new philosophy. Now, I don't know anything about this show. I haven't talked to Terry about what's going on, but I think the Vision show is the first show that's being made with this new philosophy in mind. I think it's going to be a prestige show. I think having Terry's pedigree in science fiction and Star Trek, the fact that you are, see, I got it mentioned, with the Vision and artificial life and what does it mean and who is Vision and can he love a human? What is that? I think it's going to be a great, great, great show because the people that are writing it have thought a lot about this and they have a great science fiction background. So I think I'm looking to that Vision series to be the first example of this new Marvel, because even Wonder Man was made back in the day.
Yeah,
so,
they made that a while ago.
And Vision has been made this year. So I'm really looking forward to that and seeing where it goes, just because I also love Vision.
And if you look at the mathematical equation between quantity and quality, in production, the more you increase quantity, your quality will drop.
Right.
Because, Rob, if they're putting out 3 MCU shows a year on Disney Plus, which was what Bob Chapek mandated them to do, that means you take your best show that you got in development, and then the other 2 shows that you would have said, we're not making those shows, they're not good enough, and going, oh, we're mandated to put out 3? Well, let's make those other 2 ones now too. Instead of just the best one you had going, now you got to put out the one you weren't going to do and the one that lost out to that one. And so hopefully this will elevate. Because listen, Disney Plus has had some good Marvel stuff.
Sure.
Right? I'm not saying they haven't, but they've also had the good fair share of bad stuff. Like for every one WandaVision, you got an Echo. For every one Ms. Marvel, which was fantastic, you've got a Secret Invasion. And if they can just limit now their quantity, focus more on the stuff they're going to put out, it's great. By the way, you brought up Kang. I don't know if you saw what Kevin Feige was saying about Kang.
Oh
recently.
yeah.
He actually mentioned, he said he went directly on set, and I felt very validated by this. Because remember I said, before the Jonathan Majors drama ever happened, they had to have known Kang wasn't working. Remember, I was saying, even long before I said they had to have known Kang just simply wasn't working. Kevin Feige just said in an interview, he was saying, we were having discussions about replacing Kang before Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania even came out. He said we were just realizing it wasn't working the way we wanted it or the way we envisioned it working. And they were probably going to move away from Kang even if the Jonathan Majors drama didn't happen. I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Kevin Feige is saying, number one, that they are drastically reducing the amount of Disney Plus stuff they're going to make, maybe down to one show a year, but also saying they're going to further the gap between what's going on in the TV shows and the movies. They're not going to be as interconnected as maybe a lot of people thought they would be when they first started the Disney Plus stuff. Is that wise? Is that, like we said before, a missed opportunity? Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Unironically, you know what I think one of the most perfect movies I've ever seen is? Borat. I actually thought that, like, perfect for what it was made to be and made to do. It was an utterly flawless film. I remember I watched that, man, and besides laughing my ass off from start to finish, that movie so uncomfortably held up a mirror to our culture. Just held a mirror up and forced us to look at ourselves. And I thought it was brilliant on that level. You now tell me that guy is going to be in the MCU playing Mephisto? I'm like, huh. Well, Ironheart finally came along, which I still think was a very odd choice to be your introduction to Mephisto. But you finally brought in Mephisto. Sacha Baron Cohen was deliciously perfect in the role. Man, and when he would switch between accents and all, like he came across as unfathomably powerful. Like, Dormammu? That guy can't wipe my ass. I'm like, okay, holy shit. And like he could come across so menacing and so smooth and so charming at once. It was easily the best part of Ironheart. And the way he played it and the way him and Anthony Ramos played off each other as well in those scenes, I thought was brilliantly done. Well, how do you have a character like Mephisto and not use him more? So despite the fact of what we were just talking about with Kevin Feige saying they're going to separate the TV and the movie universe more, Kevin Feige's coming out now saying, oh, Mephisto's playing a significant role in the MCU moving forward. He's playing a significant role. And for that, Sacha Baron Cohen, 53-year-old Sacha Baron Cohen, has just got himself jacked. This is coming us from Deadline. Sacha Baron Cohen pumped transformation from Borat to Marvel's Mephisto photos. Check out the cover of Men's Fitness. We'll just give it a second. Very nice. That's Borat.
Success.
Great success. I keep waiting for him to reference his wife's vagine is floppy like wizard sleeve. Why, by the way, one of the greatest lines in any movie ever.
He got divorced, though.
He did. Yes.
Which is great because Isla Fisher
is now available. But I mean, and maybe I don't know, maybe the workout routine has more to do with the divorce. Maybe he's like, well, I'm single again. I got to get back out to the dating scene. But holy crap, this dude's 53 years old.
And it says from Borat to buff in 25 minutes a day. For all the people that call me fat all the time online, maybe there's hope for me too.
There's hope for all of us, Rob. There's hope for all of us.
25-minute workouts and I can look like that?
I do it every day.
I'm sure diet had something to do with it too. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess he doesn't eat as much ice cream as I do. But he's looking great. But, Deadline goes on and they write this. Exclusive. Marvel chief Kevin Feige said in a press gathering this week that Sacha Baron Cohen's Mephisto character will be prominent as the next MCU supervillain. For his part, Baron Cohen transformed his physique as evidenced by the cover of Men's Fitness UK. Baron Cohen has plunged himself into character creations like Borat, Ali G, and Bruno. That was the other character, Jonathan, Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno, yeah.
But the work he put into his body with Alfonso, the angry trainer Moretti, indicates playing a shredded Mephisto is more than a one-off for the actor. All right. Let's talk about this for a second. Like, besides the fact that I'm just amazed the type of shape he's been able to get himself into. But you know what? Whenever I see celebrities get like this, the excuses I hear people make. Well, if I had a full-time trainer, I could look like that too. No, you can't. You know why? Because you and I don't have the determination, discipline, and willpower he got himself the trainer. He still has to do the things he needs to do and not eat the things I want to eat. Well, you and I, my friends, have no excuse.
That's the thing. That you listen to Hugh Jackman talk about the fact that how much chicken can one man eat? You know, and it gets to the point where you don't. I see food as a sensual pleasure. You know, your favorite things that you like to eat, and it's delicious to drink or whatever. You can't do that.
No.
When you're working out.
All your cravings, you actually like, just like when you're coming off of drugs, you know, your addictions to like those foods and make you aggressive.
And by the way, some people say, well, then he's using some supplements sort of thing. Here's the thing. Like, even here's the direct thing about steroids. The big misunderstanding about steroids. People think you inject yourself with steroids, muscles grow. That's not how steroids work. You actually have to be in the gym even longer. What the steroids do is they facilitate the regrowth of the tissue and the muscle as a result of your working out. So it enhances the results of your workout. But you still got to be in the gym and doing the stuff you need to do. So anyway, side note about Sacha Baron Cohen. The Mephisto stuff. Because look, you bring in a character like Mephisto. You were just talking about Secret Invasion, Rob. Like, how do you have this global, worldwide, major geopolitical event happen and it's never even been once mentioned?
No,
you can't bring in a character like Mephisto, a dark lord of them all, who scoffs at Dormammu as some insignificant whelpling.
Plus, in this picture right here, he looks like Louis Safier from Angel Heart, like the young version of De Niro. And Mr. Safier. Not knowing what it really means.
Oh, dude! Again, even in that scene, as he's switching between accents, it just killed me. But you can't bring in a character like that and not say this is not going to have major implications. This is not going to have major ramifications. This is clearly going to be a big deal, and I don't think it's going to be connected to Ironheart. Although, when you look at the end of Ironheart,
well, you know who Mephisto would fit right in with? Blade.
Doctor Strange,
Supernatural, you know,
Midnight Suns,
Ghost Rider,
a returning Wanda, although I don't think Wanda's ever returning. But I mean,
could be.
There's a lot of areas there that they could. Although I will say this too, as much as I ended up not being a fan of the Ironheart show, full marks, man, to them. I know I've said this before. I will say it again. I wish I liked the show more because the way they ended that show.
Oh yeah.
Was one of the absolutely maybe the ballsiest thing I think Marvel has ever done with one of their Disney Plus shows. Absolutely the most baller thing they've done. That ending I thought was gutsy, unpredictable, and I thought utterly fascinating. It was so great, it made me mad that I didn't like the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But with Mephisto, you separate him from just the Ironheart thing. Now, I don't know that what Kevin Feige was saying here was that Mephisto is the next Thanos, like after Doomsday. Like, he's the next Doctor Doom. So, Thanos, now Doctor Doom, and then after Doctor Doom. I don't know if he's necessarily saying that, but he's clearly saying he's going to be a prominent villain for the cinematic universe moving forward. Rob, what did you take away from Feige's comments? And we've already thrown out a couple of names, but if we flesh it out and think about it a little bit more, how do you see Mephisto fitting into this Marvel Cinematic Universe?
It's a good question because I've been thinking about this. I say Blade only because there's obviously a huge supernatural component to him. But within the MCU, does a character like Mephisto have connections to, say, the Celestials?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or the Infinity Stones? You know, because you're dealing with...
Does he exist outside of the TVA?
Yeah. I mean, all that stuff. Is he truly the devil? And if he is, that means that what is his relation to the creator of the universe? Or how are they going to, here's the thing I always want to know. What is the cosmology behind this character? And I think in the MCU, they kind of have a tendency, like they'll just introduce Arishem the Judge, and all of humanity sees this giant celestial that's multiple sizes bigger than the Earth. No one mentions it again. I mean,
shouldn't we be getting ready for? Remember that dude? He said he's going to come back to judge us.
Yeah,
should we be
is
doing
anyone
something
paying attention to that?
Should we be doing anything to get ready for that?
Have we hired a barrister to argue our case? I mean, whatever. But the thing is, that's what I want to know, and that I think that kind of cosmology is what helps us. I mean, look, they did the best they could explaining the Infinity Stones. And it was really, even though you have that exposition dump at the beginning of Infinity War when Wong explains it all, it all worked for me. I was like, okay, and then when you meet the Ancient One in that alternate universe when Hulk's like, I need that. She's like, no, you can't have it. Oh, okay, maybe. They're giving you a sense of how this all works. And Mephisto is a character, as is the entire supernatural of the MCU or whatever. It's got to be explained. Like, where does Mephisto live when he's not Mephistoing? When he's not
Mephistoing.
Yeah, I mean, where does he?
That sounds like something lonely guys do in their basement on Thursdays. I'm saying.
Well, maybe that's what Mephisto does when he's not working. He's controlling everyone's impure thoughts. But no, I mean, in real life, like, where does he go? Look, I'm still puzzling over Samara from The Ring when she's waiting for people to watch her videotape. Like, where is she living in the afterlife when she knows when everyone puts a tape in their VCR? I obsess over this, and that movie came out in 2001. And that was a remake of the original Sadako Japanese version. And I want to know, what is the cosmology behind all this? And with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like, you got to explain it. You got to tell us, where does Mephisto go? Where does he reside? Where does he make his plans? Does he have an assistant? Does he use social media? I mean, I laugh, but I want to know, because he apparently needs to be where he needs to be at certain times. How does he draw his plans against us?
Here's an interesting proposition for you. One of the most fascinating Doctor Doom storylines in comics has a little connection to Mephisto. What if we're going into Doomsday? What if we're missing something obvious here? What if we're talking about a Doctor Doom who's already made a deal with Mephisto? What if that is like, because a lot of people I've been asking going into Doomsday, how can this guy suddenly elevate, this Victor Von Doom suddenly elevate to being the greatest threat in the universe? Maybe he makes a deal with Mephisto?
Yeah, he went down to the crossroads, made a deal with the devil.
What is it you're supposed to bury at the crossroads? You're supposed to go, the mythology goes, they do it in Supernatural too. You're supposed to go to a crossroad and bury something in the middle of the crossroad and then say something, and a demon will appear to grant you a wish. But yeah, maybe Mephisto gets integrated into the MCU as early as Doomsday, or maybe we're not even going to have to wait until after Doomsday.
I mean, I would actually love that. Mephisto went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind. He was looking to make a deal. When he came across this armored man,
armored man.
I mean, it could be, you could do that. That would be a really cool. Can you imagine, like the movie Legend, Ridley Scott's Legend? Like, that's the underworld. Like, Mephisto is the Tim Curry version.
That's a nice comparison,
right?
Like that.
And you're in that underworld, and somehow Doom shows up there, and I don't know. I think about this stuff way too much, John. Way too much.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Not only is like full credit and hats off, respect, man, to Sacha Baron Cohen for the shape he's got himself in to play Mephisto, who Kevin Feige is saying this is going to be a significant villain in the MCU moving forward. How do you feel about that? How do you see him fitting in? Do you think maybe they'll start bringing him and getting him more involved in the MCU as early as Doomsday, or do you think maybe they'll wait till after that? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? I'm 26 hours away from watching Fantastic Four. I can't wait. You know what I'm going to go see tonight? We're going to go see Together tonight.
Where's that playing?
They're doing an advanced fan screening at the AMC here in Riverside tonight.
Oh man.
So Ann and I got some tickets to go see that. I'm really looking forward to that. Keep your guys' eyes open for my out of theater reaction to that later tonight. But tomorrow, Fantastic Four. Now, we've all known, they've already said, many people put out there, I believe, 2 post-credit scenes. Like one mid, one end.
Yeah, there's 2 post.
So we got post-credit scenes coming, right? Here's the interesting thing. We got post-credit scenes in Thunderbolts, and we found out that the one at the end of the film was actually directed by the Russo brothers, who are, of course, doing Avengers Doomsday. Well, now, according to the Fantastic Four director, Matt Shakman, the Russo brothers also directed the post-credit scene for Fantastic Four. And Shakman gives this great analogy about why this works. Let's go over. Yahoo Entertainment writes the following. The Fantastic Four post-credit scene will have more in common with the Thunderbolts after credits stinger than we originally thought. They share the same directors, despite the 2 movies being helmed by different filmmakers. That's right, the Russos are back. As with the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, Joe and Anthony Russo shot the post-credit scenes for the Fantastic Four First Step, according to director Matt Shakman. Now, this is what Matt says. They were very involved, and as we were making this film, they wanted to visit our sets and watch scenes as they were coming together to get to know these characters so they could treat them well, do right by them in the next movie, Shakman said in an interview with Comic Book. I love that. I want to talk about that more in a minute.
I do too.
They're really good protectors of these characters as well. I often think of working at Marvel as like running a relay race. You pass the baton. You run as hard and as fast as you can with it for that section of the race that belongs to you, and then you pass that baton. I pass it on to Joe and Anthony, and they're off and running, and that's great. Okay, couple of things I want to unpack here that I really like in this. Number one, I love that the Russo brothers came in to direct the post-credit scene. I think that's great, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that will then open the door and lead us into Doomsday. I'm not expecting necessarily a one-to-one connection, just like the end of Thunderbolts, without spoiling it, wasn't necessarily a direct plot line that opened, but a little tease, little something like that. So bringing them in to do that, I think is great. But I want to talk for a second about the thing Shakman said about the Russo brothers were constantly there on set. To me, that speaks to the dedication and the commitment and the quality that Joe and Anthony want to bring to this. The fact that they wanted to come in, and remember, this isn't Kevin Feige saying, this is the director of Fantastic Four saying it, who would be most protective of all this. That Joe and Anthony were there on set, not to interfere, not to say, hey, do this, that'll set up our Avengers movie better, but to sit there and truly understand the way Matt Shakman was manifesting these Fantastic Four characters so that they would know them and bring that into Doomsday. To me, man, that is, you already know the opinion I have of Joe and Anthony. I'm very biased for Joe and Anthony. I love these guys. I think they're amazing. I don't love all the stuff they make, just being honest, but I love these guys. And to see that sort of commitment, not just to, trying to make their movie as good as they can, but to show their commitment to the other filmmakers in the cinematic universe as well, to try to make this universe feel as cohesive as possible. I think that's fantastic. I also love what Matt then said about the analogy with it being a relay race. You run with these characters, but then you got to hand them off. So like James Gunn ran with the Guardians of the Galaxy characters, but then they got into Avengers Secret Wars or Infinity Wars. And he had to hand that Guardians baton off to Joe and Anthony Russo. Then those movies ended, and the baton had to get handed back again to James Gunn to finish out Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And we've seen that with other characters, whether it's Peyton Reed with Ant-Man handing it off and so on and so forth. And I think all that's a testament to how well Kevin Feige manages the MCU as a whole. So I'm excited to hear that the Russos actually directed the post-credit scene. I cannot wait now to see what it is they've done. I know you already know what they did, but I don't want to know. So there's that. But I also love the fact that Joe and Anthony were there to learn. We're on set to learn and to watch Matt and to make sure they stay faithful to the characters that Matt was manifesting with these Fantastic Four. And I love the fact that the filmmakers in the Fantastic Four all feel this teamwork, that we are all like, Matt's not directing anything in that movie, in the Avengers movie, but he has a big part to play in how that movie's going to come out. And I really like all that. Anyway, Rob, there's a lot there to unpack, but what are the things that are standing out to you the most in all those comments that we just read?
Well, again, the fact that the Russo brothers wanted to know, they didn't have a movie they could look at and go yet because it wasn't finished. It was being filmed, and they're playing a big part of, I would assume they've talked about Pedro Pascal being a big lead in the Fantastic Four, being a big lead in Doomsday, which makes sense because Doctor Doom is a big Fantastic Four villain. So the idea that they were there to observe what Shackman was doing and how the actors were developing the characters. I mean, it's in Infinity War, you had some of the greatest Guardians of the Galaxy moments that the Russo brothers directed.
Yeah.
That James Gunn created those characters and he didn't direct them. And the stuff between
But the scenes were great.
They were great
because the Russos directed them in the way that James Gunn created them.
Yeah, and the scenes were written really, when they went to whatever they, where they made Stormbreaker, Never to Lear, or whatever, and all that scene. I loved seeing Thor and Rocket go off as a duo.
Dude, that was one of the best scenes in all of the MCU. That
all
Thor
the MCU.
and Rocket scene was one of the best in the whole MCU.
Fantastic. So it makes sense that the Russo brothers are diligent about doing something like that, which I think is great. And what's really interesting is I think there's a quality. I'm not going to say what it is or anything, but there's a quality to the scene that they directed that is surprising, that we haven't seen before in a post-credit scene. And it's not a quality, it has nothing to do with characters or anything like that, but there is a quality of it. It'll be surprising, I think, to people going, oh, it's different than you might think. And it makes sense that they did it. Because what was great is in Thunderbolts, when you get to that scene, them already established as the Avengers or the new Avengers or whatever, that wasn't a part of the main film. So it was almost like that section was a whole new deal with new costumes. It looked different. They're in a new location. And there is a certain element of that into what the Russo brothers did with this. And it's interesting. I wonder, and I'm willing to bet you, that the Russo brothers will be directing a post-credit scene in Spider-Man Brand New Day to sort of set up where they're going. So I think it's great. And it shows that kind of cohesion and thought that we want from the MCU. So I'm excited.
Let me ask you this, because I don't want to know like when I was talking to the people who had seen the movie, I did not have them tell me what happens at the post-credit scenes.
I'm not going to tell you.
Tell me this, though. The person you asked, because I did not ask the other people I talked to. I didn't even ask this. Did the person who saw the post-credit scenes like the post-credit scenes?
Yeah. They're not big. They're not big post-credit scenes. And the scene, I will say this, the scene at the end of Thunderbolts is a much bigger scene in terms of scope because you're in the Baxter building.
Good to know.
Much bigger scene. This is a much smaller, much quieter scene, but it has a very interesting quality to it that will be surprising to people, I think, when you've been watching Fantastic Four, and then suddenly you're going to be hit with it and go, oh, that's interesting. But I'm not going to say what it is.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. I'll keep my expectations in check when I go in there.
Just think about when it takes place.
All right. Don't say any more, though. Don't say any more.
Nope.
All right, guys. I'm seeing it tomorrow. I can't believe we're seeing it tomorrow, guys. It's here. Oh, please, man, listen. I'm going to be so happy because if this movie's good, it's going to be the first time in a long time that I've seen 3 comic book movies in a row that I really love. Because I love Thunderbolts. I mean, Captain America, not so much. But then I love Thunderbolts. I love Superman. And here's hoping Fantastic Four delivers as well. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this. Apparently, the Russo brothers have come in who are directing Avengers Doomsday. They were the ones who came in and they were there on set the whole time. Then they directed the post-credit scene. What do you think about that? How do you like the analogy of them passing the baton and the fact that they were there to really study what Matt Shakman was doing with the Fantastic Four so they could do them more true in Doomsday? Whatever stands out to you guys the most, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that all down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we will first say good day to Robert Meyer Burnett. Thanks for being here, man. Good job as always.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And to everybody at Comic-Con, have fun.
Yeah, and you're heading out to San Diego.
I'm heading out.
You're going to be, well, the idea is you're going to be doing the show with me from cinema or from Comic-Con tomorrow.
I just have to find some place to do that.
Yes, you just need a room with the internet connection,
Yes.
and then make sure it can happen. Now, of course, we're now going to move on to take your comments and questions, but first, we're going to do what we need to do, which is, of course, thanking the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. You know, it feels like workplace stress is higher than ever these days, and I was just reading that about 61% of the global workforce is dealing with above normal levels of stress, and honestly, it's not surprising. When you're stuck in endless Zoom meetings, juggling deadlines, or just trying to keep your head above water, it adds up. Now sure, a quick vacation sounds nice, but let's be real, it's not a long-term fix. What's helped me is building small wellness habits. For me, it's things like getting outside in the sun for a few minutes, or squeezing in a brisk walk during breaks. But for a lot of people, sometimes that's just not enough, and that's where therapy can really help. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform with over 30,000 therapists who've already helped over 5 million people worldwide. Their app is super convenient. You can meet with a therapist with just a click, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists anytime. And just listen to the user reviews. The BetterHelp app has a 4.9 out of 5 from over 1.7 million reviews. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to your topics and questions here, shall we? We still got to get caught up from the ones we didn't get around to yesterday, so let's get caught up here, Jonathan. What we got up first?
Anonymous, John and crew, do you think there's a likelihood of any of the younger X-Men cast like Fassbender or McAvoy or anyone else showing up in the new Avengers films? They kind of already used one of the actors in WandaVision after all.
No, they used one of the actors, but it wasn't the character, though. By the way, I don't care about, oh, boo-hoo, keep crying about it. I thought them using him in WandaVision was a stroke of genius. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And I loved watching everybody cry about it when they realized he wasn't actually Quicksilver. Because I said, remember, Jonathan? I said, when they brought him in, I said, he's not going to be the actual Quicksilver. I said it on the show. I said it publicly. Video's there. I got the receipts. Said he's not the actual Quicksilver. And everybody said, yes, he is. Yes, he is. And it turned out he wasn't. Everybody, boo-hoo. I loved it. I thought it was great. Anyway. No, I really don't. They could. But then we've already found out from Kevin Feige that after the Avengers movies, it's going to be all new X-Men cast anyway. So I kind of doubt it. I would love to see James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender have another kick at the can, but I don't think they're going to do it, but it would be very short-lived even if they did, because we already know they're going to recast all the X-Men anyway. So there's that. All right, what's next?
Broomstickles. I feel like recasting Tony and Steve is Marvel just furthering undoing any stakes in their universe. It's hard to say invested in a franchise with zero stakes. Even the biggest deaths in the MCU were fake. How long before we give up on the fake death universe?
Well, listen, the Marvel fake death universe has been one of the biggest sources of frustration for me for the MCU for the longest time. I mean, it just always has been. You know, there was that great video, trying to remember the name of the kid, the Max, the guy who did the Michael B. Jordan movie made from the superhero movie with the found footage, was Chronicle.
Oh.
He wrote that. Max
Landis.
Landis, right. Max Landis did this amazing video on YouTube. It's got to be well over 12 years, maybe older than that now. That, by the way, John Schnepp makes a little quick appearance in that.
Mm-hmm.
But he made this great little video about the comic book event of the death of Superman. And one of the points he ultimately makes in that video, I would highly recommend looking it up because it is very well done. I know some people have issues with Max Landis, granted, but the video is really good. And it says some really interesting things in it. And one of the main points he makes at the end of it was the death of Superman in the comics and them bringing him back ultimately killed death in the comic books. There have been a couple of small examples of it in comics before that, but this was the first really big prominent time that they straight up killed off a character and they straight up brought him back. Certainly the most highlighted one. And he said what they kind of killed death in the comic books after that. Because now in comic books, a character's death literally means nothing. I remember this one significant storyline came out. It's like, oh my God, they killed Colossus. But I didn't care because I know that's not going to be permanent. They'll bring Colossus back. They've killed everybody and they always bring them back. They killed Magneto and they kill everybody and they bring them back. It is just now and has now for decades been a part of the fabric of reality of what it is to have comic book stories. The reality is you can't have a Marvel Cinematic Universe long-term without a Tony Stark in it. The reality is you can't have a long-term Marvel Cinematic Universe without Steve Rogers. These are names that are quintessential to the Marvel brand. How can you have a cinematic universe without those characters? It is likened unto saying you're going to have a DC universe without Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman. Okay, you can, but how exactly? So I get it. You do need to bring. That's why after Endgame, I said, guys, at some point, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be back. I don't know how, in what shape, in what form. I don't know if it's going to be 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, but he'll be back. And Tony Stark will be back. And now we are. So it's kind of a necessity. All right, what's next?
We got Venki the Turnkey. Hey, John, you should watch Pantheon by AMC. It's on Netflix. It's one of the best sci-fi shows in recent times. The premise is awesome and characters so incredibly relatable. Not many are watching this, on par with Arcane and Blue Eye Samurai.
First of all, those two shows I love. Blue Eyed Samurai. Dude, I had no interest in that show. Got hooked in the first 2 minutes. If you guys have not watched Blue Eyed Samurai, watch it. It is so much better than I thought. It's amazing. And Arcane is still, I didn't like the second season as much as the first, but that first season I think is the best season of animation ever. I think it's the best animated season of anything ever. I've never heard of Pantheon. I'll straight up with you. I'll be honest with you. I've never even heard of it. So, but you've now put it on my radar. I will keep my eye open for it. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous. Just for fun, which of these human characters that were forced to tag along with an IP character from another world do you like the best? Shia LaBeouf in Transformers, Neil Patrick Harris in Smurfs, Marsden in Sonic, or America Ferrera in Barbie?
Ooh, well, first of all, I think Shia gets a bad rep from, I thought he did a really good job in the Transformers
I don't think
movies.
that he was the issue.
He was never the issue. Right? Like I liked the first movie.
Yeah.
I don't like any of the other ones.
And I didn't hate him in the other
but
ones.
he wasn't the problem.
No.
But the Michael Marsden, is it Michael Marsden? No, it's
James
Marsden. I was
You're
thinking of Michael Madsden.
Madsen, yeah.
James Marsden in Sonic. He was done dirty as Cyclops, by the way, because he would have been a great Cyclops. In Sonic, man, I'll tell you what, America Ferrera in Barbie was amazing. Like, she gives the monologue speech in that movie that really elevated Barbie, not just from being a great IP movie, but to being just being a really great film. And I say that as somebody that I was clearly not the target audience for Barbie, man. I didn't even know why they were making that movie. So I'm going to say those two. Those are the ones I'm going to go with.
All right.
All right, what's next?
Species. Hey, the story about recasting the X-Men and Marvel characters. Could you see them doing this playing out on another Earth that is not 616? It would keep continuity and make sense. Make it the new MCU, and from now on, what are your thoughts?
Nope, they're not going to do that. Listen, I said from day one that Disney bought Fox. I said my number one preference would be for them to keep the X-Men universe completely separate from the MCU. Have two separate cinematic universes. That way they're not so insufferably overcrowded. You can tell their stories without the handcuffs and having to make sure they line up with each other. I said they're not going to do that, and they're not. But that would have been my preference. But make no mistake, they are not doing that. So no, they are not going to have a separate Earth. Now, we are wrapping up the multiverse saga. Thank God we're wrapping it up. So after Secret Wars, we're going to have one MCU again. They're not going to create a separate universe for it. I wish they would, but apparently they're not. All right, what's next?
Daniel, hi, John. I was wondering what you used to record your episodes when you were Rob or not in studio. I have a podcast I'm trying to test having guests on remotely, but don't know the best way to do it. Thanks for everything you do.
So there are a couple of different approaches that both work and both work well. One approach is by, first of all, the foundational software we use is OBS, like many streamers. Wirecast is one we used to use, and it's very good. I still have nothing but good things to say about Wirecast.
Come a long way, too.
Yeah, and it's come a long way. We, however, switched over to OBS a while ago. So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. One is use Google Hangouts, Microsoft, what's it called? Meetings? Whatever it's called.
So,
Meet, right? Or Zoom.
Right.
Have it open on a separate monitor and use OBS to window capture that chat app you have and bring that in as a camera source. That is one way. We've done it that way. Works great. Another way that we use more often now is a service called Video Ninja. That's VDO Ninja. And it helps you create unique URLs from video sources. It's a little bit more technically involved to use that one, rather than just using Zoom or remember Skype. Remember when that was the thing? Or Google Hangouts. Just open on window, select that as that part of your monitor as a camera source and bring it in. That should work fine for you as well. All right, what's next?
All right. Wade says in a two-parter, since Feige is hinting at leaving Marvel after his contract is up, once Avengers Secret Wars comes out, should we as fans be worried about who will be the new president of Marvel come 2028? We definitely don't want history repeating itself, especially if the MCU gets their winning streak back with their films. They can't afford another Bob Chapek situation again, nor does anyone want that ever again. Your thoughts? Thanks.
Well, I mean, the difference is you are specifically bringing in somebody with, like, Bob Chapek was coming in to run a company that had nothing to do with movies. Bob Chapek was brought in to run a company that, well, it does have movie divisions, but has much other bigger divisions, like parks and all that kind of stuff that Disney was. You should always be nervous with a regime change. You should always be nervous about regime change, because regime change can go badly. The Bob Chapek situation is a good example of that. But it can also go very, very well. The James Gunn situation is an example of it going well. So, yeah, got to be nervous. But also you have to understand that a new person coming in, as hard as it is to imagine, it could also go really great. Like, the person who comes in after Kevin Feige might take the foundation that Kevin Feige has built and maybe take the MCU to new heights that even Feige never took it to. I'm not saying that's likely, but I'm saying that's a possibility too. So is it cause to be nervous? Absolutely, because it could go bad, but it could also go exceedingly well. And we'll just have to trust that, Bob Iger will probably be a part of that process in helping them bring in a new person. Kevin Feige Tony D'Esposito will definitely be involved in that. Like, they'll probably all work together to find a really good person. And hopefully it'll be somebody we've never heard of. Just somebody who's really super talented behind the scene who can run Marvel and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it could be great. We'll find out. All right, what's next?
Wade says, correct me if I'm wrong, but if Fantastic Four First Steps ends up being a big success by critics and fans, that'll mean this will be the first 2-film streak for the MCU, starting with Thunderbolts. since Phase 4 and 5 in the last couple of years. If true, I pray they keep it up.
What came out? What was the MCU movie that came out directly before Deadpool and Wolverine?
Oh, before Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. Because obviously Deadpool and Wolverine
It
was
wasn't Marvel's, was it?
amazing. And then after Deadpool and Wolverine, the next one was Captain America 4, which ended the streak. Everybody's saying the Marvels. Yeah, listen, I still stand on this. I don't think Marvels was all that bad. I don't think it was all that good. They certainly wasn't great, but I didn't think the Marvels was all that bad. It was just a poorly conceived thing, and it certainly suffered massively at the box office. So yeah, that would disqualify from being considered a success. So yeah, if we get Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, and they're both great, it'll be the first time in a while that we've had a back-to-back really great movies from the MCU. Which,
yeah, because we had okay. There was Multiverse of Madness, and then I like that, but it was divisive. And then Love and Thunder, a lot of people did not like.
Yep.
Wakanda Forever.
I still say Multiverse of Madness was a good film.
Yeah.
But again, it's just one of the lower tier MCU ones.
Then it was like hit and miss. So then Love and Thunder was like, and then Black Panther, Wakanda Forever could have been better.
I was not a big fan of Wakanda Forever.
It was fine, but it could have been a lot better, but I get it. Then Ant-Man Quantumania. And then it was another high with Guardians Volume 3. I thought, okay, here we go. And then Marvel's.
Right.
You know, so it's up and down.
And then Captain
New
America
World.
4.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it has literally been the definition of hit or miss.
Yeah.
So this would be great if we finally got 2 in a row that were really great, because Thunderbolts was absolutely freaking fantastic. And if Fantastic Four can at least get close to that, we'll call that a winning streak. Something they haven't had in a long time.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. We got Kyle says, hi, John, reaching out for the first time in a while from Australia.
Oh, hey, man.
I'm so excited to say that in less than a day from now, I'll be lucky enough to see F4 early screening. I'm so excited and hope it's fantastic. Say that again.
Listen, again, just going over the whole history of it, very interested in Fantastic Four. Trailers were fine, but they didn't do anything to excite me. Then Marvel got rid of the trailers and just started putting out clips instead, and those clips got me excited. And now hearing all the reactions and the full reviews have been fantastic. Yeah, man, I'm pretty stoked. I hope you have a good time. I'm going to see it in about 25 hours, so fingers crossed. All right, what's next?
We got Matan, who says, I could take the criticism against Superman as on the grounds of Snyder or allegations of wokeness, but I got sick of people, including critics, rejecting the film's message about hope. Absolute cynical way of thinking. Not everything needs to be the boys. Because they wanted Man of Steel.
What critics? The movie's got it's got an 8. Last time I checked, it's got an 83% critic rating. So I don't know which critics you're talking about. But look, here's the thing. We all have to be willing to, like, the whole garbage nonsense. Oh my God, there's a girl. Oh my God, like all that nonsense. Ignore those. Just ignore that. They don't mean anything. They're moronic. But Superman is still a movie. And as a movie, it's art. And as art, it's subjective. And it's going to hit people in different ways. And there are things that hit me as funnier than maybe they'll hit Jonathan. There are things that hit me as more exciting than maybe they'll hit Jonathan. There's going to things that hit me as being pretentious, but maybe Jonathan thinks is insightful. You know, you got to leave room that there are just going to be people that maybe the bright, hopeful message of Superman legitimately just hits some people in a way that seems corny or too fairy tale. They're not trying to be negative. It's just that's the way it hits them. You've got to leave room for the fact. Now, again, of course, there are obviously those cretins out there that are just going to hate it no matter what and try to paint whatever negative picture they can. But you've got to leave room for the fact that there are just going to be people out there who legitimately went into Superman, legitimately watch it with an open mind, and legitimately just didn't like it. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And maybe one of the things, I remember, Jonathan, one of the first conversations Rob and I had about Superman after we saw it was we were listing all these things off of why we loved it. But we then said, the funny thing is the exact reasons we loved it could be the very reasons why somebody else doesn't like it. And maybe the bright, hopeful message just hits some other people just in a different way than it hit us. Again, you just got to leave room for that, man. Everybody's going to feel differently about a movie because it's art.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
We got anonymous. Hey, John, just my opinion, but I thought Crystal Skull was better than Dial of Destiny because of one crucial element. Steven Spielberg was the director. Best of the series is and always will be The Last Crusade.
I agree that the best of the series was The Last Crusade.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, that is my favorite of the original. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
I love all three of the original Indiana Jones films. They are 1A and 1B to me. Like, they're all great. But yeah, Last Crusade to me is my favorite. It's my favorite of the three. Listen, I still think that Dial of Destiny was better than Crystal Skull. I think it was. And Steven Spielberg is the greatest director of all time, but he was working off a script by George Lucas. And when you can only do so much. If you're a director, you can only do so much if you're given a subpar script. You can try to make it better than it is on the page, and I'm sure Steven Spielberg did, but at the end of the day, yeah, as much as Dial of Destiny failed to launch, I still think it was better than Crystal Skull, but that's just me. All right, what's next?
Curious Chris, let's see. I want to make sure. No, John got lost. Do you think F4 will do well with these fantastic reviews? And will this help Superman's box office? Do you think we will see a significant drop? Maybe families will do double features if they haven't seen Superman. A fan since AMC. Hope you do this till you're 90.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Well, listen, we're going to be going into Superman's third weekend, right? The way movie watching trends are now, all movies are far more front end loaded than ever before in history. You get the odd exception that have like really good tracking legs and stuff like that. And I'm sure Superman will do well, but it is Superman's third weekend. And you have a new movie coming out that is in the vein of Superman that people haven't seen yet. So I think it's only natural to expect a really significant drop off to it, but it's his third week. So, I mean, we'll see. But I also think it's going to inspire people to go back to see Superman again. So we're going to see how it all washes out. We'll see. All right, what's next?
Curious Chris, my opinions on Superman are similar to my opinions on Captain America 1. A++ main characters in a movie I'd otherwise give a B. The side characters I found to be a bit CWE at times. And pocket dimension stuff was a little too out there for my own tastes.
Yeah, but again, that goes to what I was saying about how Rob and I, some of the things we really loved about it will be the reason why some people maybe don't. Like, that pocket universing is a very Superman comic book thing to do. And that's why it worked for us, but it's not going to necessarily work for everybody, right? So, yeah, I completely see where you're coming. I think you've explained yourself really well. I completely see where you're coming from. But again, those very things are things that help. I love the Jimmy Olsen character. Right. I thought he was fantastic. I love the whole him and Eve, who was clearly the Eve Tessmacher thing was clearly a complete homage to the original Donner Superman film. But anyway, but those things didn't work for you and they did for me. And that's great. All right. What's next?
Mad Dolphin fan. How long do you think, how long do you like to wait until we can openly talk spoilers on a channel? I missed the Superman stream.
That has changed for me over the years, and it's different between movies and television. Like television, once something airs and is available for public consumption, that's on you to avoid spoilers. It's not on everybody else to protect you from spoilers. But movies are a different thing, right? Because movies, you got to actually have time to plan. A lot of people got to get babysitters. You got to travel to the movie theater. You got to book an entire evening out, blah, blah. I used to say, Jonathan, back in my movie blog days and when we started AMC, my general policy was the movie's got to finish its full theatrical run and be available on home viewing for at least a month or two. And then after a movie was completely done its theatrical run and it's already been on home video for a month or two, then we can talk about open spoilers.
Yeah.
But that has changed over the years. I've shortened that window now to because as I was just mentioning, the movie going habits today of people is
Very front loaded.
far more front loaded. Like, here's the general thing. I remember we said this with Avengers Endgame, right? if you're somebody who is remotely interested in watching Avengers Endgame, if you haven't seen it in theaters by week 5, then you're actually not all that interested in Avengers Endgame, right? And I think that's true today. Like, I think if a movie has come out and it's been out for 4, 5, 6 weeks, I think it is a fair statement to say, if you haven't watched this movie by now, you're probably not that interested in the movie to begin with. That's not a universal truth, but I think that's generally true now. And if you're somebody who is as big of a movie fan that you're actually taking time out of your day to watch an internet YouTube show like this, then you really would have gone to see that movie by now if you were actually interested in it. So I think with certain movies, the window will be longer, but for movies like Superman, I think 5, 6 weeks. Yeah, I think by its 5th weekend, I think I'm going to feel more comfortable just talking more openly about what happens in it.
Yeah, those are the people trickling in.
Yeah.
So,
like, look, anybody watching my show that's interested in the Superman movie, they will have seen it by next weekend.
yeah.
Like, if you're watching, not necessarily people who hang out with my dad, but people who watch this show, if you're interested in Superman, you will have watched it by next week. I just think that's the truth.
Yeah.
So maybe week 5 or 6, we'll start talking more openly about Superman on it. All right, what's next?
Anonymous saw the latest Screen Unseen, hoping it was Together, but was let down when I found out it was Pete Davidson's The Home. This movie was bad. It was very boring, and the only saving grace is it had John Glover, who was Lionel Luthor from Smallville.
I do like him. Wasn't he also in Shazam? Didn't he play the villain's dad?
Oh, he may have been.
That he kills and throws out the window or something. Anyway. Yeah, I remember I was curious to go to the Screen Unseen, but Ann and I just got back from Vegas and we didn't go, and I totally forgot to check it out. I'm not even familiar. What's The Home?
I'm not even sure. That seems like a very indie film.
I'm not even sure I'm aware of it.
Pete Davidson, yeah, I'm not sure.
Anyway, yeah,
I mean,
glad I skipped it.
if you're anything other than East Coast in North America, you can check online to see beforehand what it is and then decide to go. But if you're East Coast, you don't really have
Yeah. So for us living in the LA area on the West Coast, the Screen Unseen start at 7:00. 7:00 on the East Coast is 4 p.m. our time. So what I do on Screen Unseen nights is at 4:05, I jump on the Reddit, the AMC Screen Unseen Reddit, and the people on the East Coast are doing the Lord's work and letting us on the West Coast know what movie it is. And then I decide if I'm going to go or not. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Benz, who says, hey, John and crew, first time tipping. I've been watching daily.
Thank you, Benz.
Daily since your Planet of the Apes review last year. My girlfriend and I listen every night before bed. She loves you, and her favorite is Anne.
Oh, Anne is the best.
She turns 21 Thursday. Could you wish Tiana happy birthday?
Well, happy birthday, Tiana. May you have a wonderful birthday and a great year ahead of yourself, full of triumph and victory. And you already have, obviously, impeccable tastes. So, wow. Since that Planet of the Apes review, really, I think you might be the first person I've had write in to say that their first exposure to us was the Planet of the Apes review.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool. Thank you for writing in, man. I appreciate that very much. And happy birthday again. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous pitch for Falcon and Winter Soldier's End, with both taking up the mantle, one as a more government sponsor, one as more everyman hero. Battle for the Cowls would have been Brave New World, with both facing the same threat but going about it differently. Ends with Bucky pursuing politics into Thunderbolts.
No, because to me okay. Kudos for thinking out of the box. But one of the big problems with me is that waters down the Captain America title even more. Like, again, to me, I say it again, Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America is Steve Rogers is Captain America. Period. That's why I said going into Endgame, and when people would say the big debate, should Bucky or Sam be the new Captain America? And I said, neither. Neither of them should be the new Captain America, because there is only one Captain America. Steve Rogers is Captain America. And that's the way it should be left. So that idea to me actually would even water it down even more. I mean, like even today we got granted, he just calls himself U.S. agent now, but he's a Captain America wannabe. And you have multiple. Anyway, yeah, to me, it just makes it a little bit more confusing. But again, kudos for thinking out of the box. All right, what's next?
Dr. Doomlittle. Saw an edit.
Dr. Doomlittle, I like that.
Saw an edit of Mackie in a cap suit, closer to Evans. Had the mask, no goggles, no wings. Looked much better. I know this doesn't make him Steve, but it is. Is it fussy to ask for this look? And would it help a little? Because to me, he's still just Falcon, but blue.
Not going to help one bit.
Well, he needs the Falcon suit. He's not a super soldier. Then he's just a dude in a Captain America suit.
Yeah, and he's still not Steve. He's Falcon. I don't like. This is the thing. Like when we talk about people saying, "Oh, they should bring Robert Pattinson Batman into the DCU." Why? The Robert Pattinson thing in his own universe works great. Why would you want to mess with that? It's perfect. Well, I mean, perfect is maybe too strong a word, but it's fantastic. Why would you want to mess up this good thing they've got going in the Reeves verse by just plucking up that Robert Pattinson Batman and now messing him up completely and dropping him in a universe of gods and monsters and magic and wizardry and all that? Why would you do that? It works great. Why would you mess up Sam's character when he's so good? Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, aka Falcon, is a great character in the MCU, and I don't know why they felt the need that they had to mess him up by trying to force the Captain America mantle on him. He was a great character that elevated the movies he was in. And to me, it's like taking, I don't know, what's an example? Taking Tom Brady and saying, "Oh, be wide receiver because you're great." Well, yeah, but I'm great because I do this. I shine when I do this. Why would you take Tom Brady out of being quarterback and make him wide receiver? And that's what they did. Like, I don't get it. And sorry, putting on a more similar costume on him won't solve that problem to me at all. Anyway, that's just me. All right, what's next?
Mr. Nipples. Fantastic Four is getting fantastic reviews. I find this to be a fantastic thing because I've been hoping for a fantastic MCU movie about the Fantastic Four. Well, you know, I feel the same way about the incredible reviews of The Incredibles.
Did you hear one of the critics said, this is like a live action version of The Incredibles?
Yes.
It's like, I think you're getting it mixed up a little bit, but at any rate, listen, they needed, Fantastic Four needs this because they've had 3, if you count the Corman one, 4 really disappointing outings. And a lot of people wondered if they could even do a Fantastic Four because, I mean, that thing's just cursed. But it sounds like they did it, and I can't wait to watch it. All right, what's next?
Rosato. On Sunday, me and my dad saw Superman. He hasn't been to the theater since Twisters, and before that, it was 20 years to see Ang Lee's Hulk. Mostly due to mobility issues. As for why he hasn't gone for that long, he loves Superman. Fantastic Four is next.
That is so great. I love hearing that. That is so wonderful that they got to go out for the first time in forever. Well, I mean, they went to go see Twisters.
Yeah.
But it's always great to hear somebody having, whether it's a movie I like or not, somebody having a wonderful time at the movies. I love hearing. That's my favorite thing in the world to hear. So thank you for telling that story, man. That just made my heart smile. Thanks for sharing that, dude. All right, what's next?
Sin Vendetta. Hey, John, to follow up on your question about movies anywhere and Xbox movies and TV. Yes, you can connect your collection of movies anywhere. However, certain movie publishers do not support their movies on the service like MGM, Paramount, and Lionsgate.
Interesting. I did not know that. Now, listen, I do have movies anywhere, but I never open it. I connected my Amazon thing to it, and I connected my Google Play Store, which is where most of my digital stuff is on Google Play Store. But I very rarely, if ever, open it up, to be honest with you. But that's interesting to hear that some of the studios don't support it. I wonder why that is. It's a good question. All right, what's next?
Adam, over under 15% that a teaser trailer for Avengers Doomsday debuts in front of Avatar, Fire and Ash. I think it's under 1%.
I'd go sub 1%. I won't say zero, but it is absolutely sub 1%. Yeah. I don't see them doing that. All right, what's next?
Gaz Gretsch, hi John, big fan of anything Superman related and love both Man of Steel and James Gunn's Superman, but wondering what your thoughts are on not seeing in both films the iconic Clark Kent transition to Superman, as it seems a bit rushed in Gunn's Superman.
Completely pointless, meaningless, and unnecessary.
And you could see that in another one in the future movie. Like he just didn't,
Yeah, they again, like I remember leading into the movie coming out. I remember we had some people, you remember this, Jonathan, write in and ask, do you think we're going to get the iconic him going into a phone booth and changing scene?
Nobody knows what a phone booth is.
What's a phone booth?
Yeah.
Where's a phone booth?
They're like, what is that? A little changing room?
Other than in a Doctor Who installation I saw at the Comic-Con Museum, I can't remember the last time I've even seen a phone booth.
Yeah.
So, and what do we want him to do? The Wonder Woman spin? And he stops spinning and he's suddenly super.
I like the idea of him as Clark Kent, and you hear that music coming, and he just takes off the tie, and underneath you have that reveal. But that could be done in any DCU movie going forward.
Yes,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I didn't miss it one bit. I don't think it needed it, and if it was there, fine. But I really the movie didn't need it. It wouldn't have elevated the movie. It wouldn't have hurt the movie. It was just would have just been there to be there.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm fine that they didn't have anything like in there. I didn't think it took away from the movie at all. That's just my opinion, though, how I felt about it. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got, let's see. Here we go. Sorry, this bumped on me. With Fantastic, Kickmack. With Fantastic Four coming out this weekend, I totally forgot that Comic-Con was also this weekend. I haven't even thought about it. But I feel with Marvel and DC, except for Peacemaker not likely being there, is there any panel to really look forward to hearing news about?
James Gunn's.
I think he's got a lot in the, yes.
I think James Gunn is going to be. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to be a bomb after bomb after bomb that James Gunn's going to be dropping. No. But I do expect one or two really good nuggets coming out. I do expect him to do something. James Gunn loves Comic-Con, and he is there doing a panel. So I don't think it's going to be some big, huge, long list of these big announcements, but I do believe we're going to get a couple of good ones. We'll find. I don't know anything. I'm completely speculating, but I'm guessing we're going to hear a couple of things. All right, what's next?
We got McDavid. McDavid deserves better, rather. Two-parter, your ChatGPT post got me thinking. We have a year to mentally prepare for the discomfort of a world without a daily John Campea show. If movies are church, your shows are sermons. Beyond entertainment and industry context, you give us the tools to become better critical thinkers. The format you created of live daily ESPN-style film news is a void that can't be filled. I'm trying to identify the closest heir apparent. Sean Chandler may pick up the mantle in our hour of greatest need. May the filthy be with him.
Oh, thank you for that, man. I appreciate that very much. So what he's referring to is one of our I'm going to see if I can open it up here just for fun. One of our viewers sent me because anyway, they sent me this thing they did on ChatGPT where apparently they asked ChatGPT, who are the top 20 YouTube movie news personalities? And they put me at number 1. Now listen, that ultimately means nothing. Okay. It means it's ChatGPT. So who knows? You could write in the same thing today and it might give you a different answer, but it said number 1. I'm not going to lie. I have a fragile sense of self-worth, like a lot of people do. I am an insecure person. I'm not afraid to admit that in some ways. And seeing that gave me a little dopamine hit. It did. And it made me feel good for a minute. But let's not be delusional about it. It doesn't mean anything. I am still absolutely a nobody. But it was pretty cool to see that. So that's what. Now, as far as me only doing this for another year, look, as you guys know, my plan for the last couple of years was to retire somewhere between the release of Superman and then the end of that year. So somewhere between Superman coming out and the end of 2025. As we have announced several times, a couple of months ago, I signed a new sponsorship deal with a new agency, a pretty lucrative one. And that combined with the fact that Ann and I are getting this van that we can travel the continent with has made it so I could still do the show and do a lot of the things I was looking forward to doing while retired. And I'll be able to do both. And this new lucrative sponsorship deal. So I said, that's going to keep me around for at least another year on top of that. But I'm not necessarily saying now, like, if depending how well this arrangement works with Ann and I in the van and with the sponsorship deal that we have and all that kind of stuff, I mean, it could be more than another year. Don't get me wrong. I am not still, there's no way I'm still doing this 5 years from now. And who knows, maybe it will only be 1 year, but I'm not saying it's only going to be another year. It could be a little bit longer than that. We'll see. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Gavin. Hey, John, if Harry Potter is able to sustain all 7 seasons, do you think they'll be able to get them out every year? Or are we going to have to wait every other year, which would be 12 years to completion in 2038, which means I'll be almost 40 for the finale. Well, they're doing seasons 1 and 2 back to back, right? Didn't we confirm that?
Well, I think they're doing all of them. I mean, so they're shooting the show right now. And I don't think it debuts until 2027. So the reason I think they're doing that is they're giving themselves a big head start.
Yeah.
Their plan is to release a season every year. That's the plan. Listen, I'm telling you, by the time season 1 debuts, they're going to be filming season 3. And they might even be filming season 4 by the time season 1 comes out.
I hope they give it some space because you can't be a little kid you have to go through 7 years. So it's a weird trade-off. You can't be like 25 and be it, but you also can't be like 13 and be in year 7.
But remember, the way they're shooting it,
he's got to be at least like 17 by the time they get to year 7.
They're already going to be, it's going to take them more than half a year to do a season.
Yeah.
And so
Kids
they're
grow
going to
fast,
look like
too.
they age every year with us.
Yeah.
And by the time they get to season 6 and 7, if they go that far, then I think they will be literally finishing up season 8 as season 8 starts airing. Like, that's the way traditional TV does. I remember once I was talking to Stephen Amell once, and the season of Arrow had started. I think it was season 4 or something, right? It was already airing. They were already on like episode 3. And I literally was talking to Stephen Amell from his trailer on set, still shooting the end of season 4. Like, season 4 had already started airing. So I think they're giving themselves a big head start. And then as the show starts airing, that gap between what they've shot and what's airing is going to close and close and close. And then by the time they get to season 7 and 8, they'll probably be filming and releasing. So, but yeah, the plan is to do 1 season a year. All right, what's next?
Okay, Anonymous, if they're going to recast the Avengers, I hope that Iron Man and Spider-Man will be closer in age like the comics. This kind of gets me. It's like, which comics? Unless they are using the new Ultimate Universe as inspired for the rebooted MCU.
Well, you're right. You're 100% right. When you say like in the comics, which comics?
Because in the 60s, they were very far apart.
Yeah. Which era of comics?
It wasn't until like the late 80s, 90s that Spider-Man, Peter Parker was in his 30s. And then, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, there are a lot of different ways things are portrayed in the comics. I don't know. We'll see. It depends if they let this Spider-Man age up. Because like this new version of Spider-Man they've been doing where he's older, he's a father, he's got kids and all that kind of stuff. It's been really interesting. I wouldn't mind. I think it's okay to now move beyond the high school years and early college years of Peter Parker. I think we're getting there. And I think the MCU will let us see him age up. But again, we'll see which way they decide to go. All right, what's next?
I'm laughing about the follow-up to this. Austin with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Austin, for supporting us on that level, man.
Hey, John, my dad just booked tickets for our family to see Fantastic Four this weekend. We're going to the IMAX screening at the AMC Grapevine Mills 24, and I think this will be my first IMAX movie ever. Really stoked. That's cool.
Okay, now I don't know if the IMAX at blah, blah, blah Mills 24, I don't know what city that is. I don't know if that's there's only a certain number of true 70 millimeter IMAX films, or if it's what some people call LIMAX, which is a bigger than normal screen and has beautiful projection. You're going to have a good time either way. But if you're going to one of the 70 millimeter IMAX screens, oh my God, if this is your first experience in one, you're going to have a good time, man. I think you might even be overwhelmed a little bit. I hope you have a blast. Let us know. Make sure you write back in and let us know how you like the movie. I'd love to hear from you. All right, what's next?
Okay, and then Austin follows up. Hey, so I accidentally tipped the same thing twice for the same amount. Sorry about that, John. Can't believe I sent another 20. Well, 25, including this.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Oh, did he accidentally double up on that?
It went through twice. That's why I was, yeah.
Oh, well, anyway, thank you for the follow-up. Appreciate that, man. And again, have a blast at that IMAX screening.
We got Mike Thompson. Rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne, but someone else who I felt at least deserves a mention is former Cosby Show Suits and Malcolm and Eddie, and the resident actor Malcolm Jamal Warner, who drowned while on vacation with his family on Sunday. We talked about that.
Yeah, we did talk about that. Yeah, we brought that up and talked about it. And, you know, it's always particularly, I'll use the word weird, man, when one of these celebrities who you grew up watching passes away. Like, I remember the only 2 times I've gotten emotional when I've heard about a celebrity passing has been Carrie Fisher and Robin Williams. I got really emotional with those ones because sometimes I don't think our brain will make the distinction. Your brain or your emotional core makes the distinction. Listen, I spent so much of my life with Carrie Fisher. Granted, it was on a screen. It was, but I think our emotional core sometimes doesn't know how to make that distinction. I spent so much of my life with Robin Williams, growing up and all that kind of stuff, that when they passed, it sounds irrational. I agree. But nonetheless, I got really emotional at both of those, their lives, even though I met Carrie Fisher once, but I didn't know Carrie Fisher. I didn't know Robin Williams, but to my brain and to my emotional core, I grew up with them. I knew them. I spent so many hours of my life with them.
Yeah.
Malcolm Jamal's passing does not have the same impact on me, but it still hit me very weird because I grew up watching The Cosby Show. Like, he was literally the same age as me on the show. And so I was growing up with him watching that show over the years. And it was really weird hearing about his passing. And he's so young.
Very tragic.
Very tragic.
All I could think about it was like being a family member there. And it's like you're on vacation trying to have like a wonderful family moment. And then it's just, he's gone.
Yeah.
Like it's
just terrible to hear. All right, what's next?
We got definitely not Adam Aaron. AMC's clearly benefiting from their discount Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Any chance they should extend it to maybe even include one Friday per month or a higher volume day? Also, do the studios see less revenue due to this? They'll never do it on a Friday.
No, you never do it on Friday.
They don't even do it on a Monday because Monday's too big.
The reason you do it on Tuesday and Wednesdays is because specifically those are the lowest attended days.
Yeah.
When people are going to the movies, they're going Fridays, they're going Saturdays, and a lot of times on Mondays. But no, they're never, because that's just throwing away money.
Yeah,
that's just throwing away money. So no, and I don't expect them to do that. But yeah, it's clearly working out. And yes, that does mean less money for the studios. But here's the thing. A friend of mine used to say, and you've probably heard me say this on the show before, if you want to make $1 million, there's 2 ways to do it. 1, sell something for $1 million, or 2, sell 1 million things for $1. Does the studio lose money for these lower ticket price Tuesdays and Wednesdays? Well, they clearly don't make as much per person because they're paying a cheaper price. But if you're getting more people in the doors, you might be making more money overall. So again, I haven't seen the data. I haven't seen the numbers. I just know I was in a AMC on a Wednesday night the other day, and it's the first time I've ever been in an AMC on a Wednesday where it was packed.
Yeah.
So clearly it's got to be having some kind of
How was it staffed? Because I remember someone was annoyed with, did it feel like a normal night?
I think it was staffed well. I think they were anticipating.
Yeah,
the
I felt like
crowd
that
coming
was an isolated occurrence with that one person.
Man, I hate it when I go to a movie theater and it is clearly understaffed. Like that really irritates me. It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Give a couple of kids some shifts.
Especially at the concessions when there's like you're in line for like 20, 25 minutes and
Oh.
you're missing your movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, cool. So you're either going to piss us off or you're missing out on money at the concession which is your money maker because we can't see our movie.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing. Your movie theater where you actually make your money is not movie tickets. You barely get anything from that. You make your money at the concession stand, and you can't be bothered to have 2 more $15 an hour kids manning the concession stand. Come on, get your act together. Yeah, that really irritates me. As a customer, it irritates me. All right, what's next?
thoughts on BMC. Thoughts on the Jimmy Olsen series rumors and that the first episode features Gorilla Grodd. Sounds wild. I would have laughed if I heard this before seeing Superman, but watching it, I'm so down.
Listen, I tell you what, I am completely down for Jimmy Olsen. Like, I've had some friends of mine send me the actual news story of this. We'll cover it tomorrow on the show. But a Jimmy Olsen-centric series, again, it reminds me of that old NBC series, Powerless. That had, what's the Filipino girl's name?
Oh, shoot. Yes, we talked about...
Star of Powerless. I keep forgetting her name. She's a Filipino girl. That one, Vanessa Hudgens.
No, Hudgens. Someone just put it, yeah.
And Alan Tudyk was in it as well. It was a great show. But hearing them doing a Jimmy Olsen series reminds me so much of Powerless, because the idea of looking at these people who live in a superpowered world that are not superpowered, that they're just regular people in it. I would have guffawed at this before seeing Superman. Now I kind of really want to see this. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Joe Adonis says, hi, John. Amazon Studios is completing a little-known franchise. He was in The Nice Guys while the other was in The Other Guys. Now Ryan Gosling and Will Ferrell are starring together in The Tough Guys. It sounds fun.
Yeah, well, we actually did a story on this week. Well, was it last week or this week?
Last week, I think.
Last week, okay. We actually did a full story on this last week. I love it. Love it. First of all, I will always love Will Ferrell. And Ryan Gosling, good Canadian kid. And we specifically made that joke. One guy's coming from The Nice Guys, the other guy's coming from The Other Guys, and together they're going to be The Tough Guys. I think it sounds great. I'm excited to see it, and I think the premise sounds really good too. All right, what's next?
Everybody needs a Herbie. Saw Fantastic Four last night. It's amazing. I came home with a pressure headache from laughing so much and crying so much. I was emotional, even when it wasn't an emotional scene, but because I was filled with joy and absolute love, or just loved hanging with this family.
Yeah, I heard there were some fan screenings last night. They didn't have any around me.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Or I would have been there. But I've heard nothing but really good things from people who've gone to see it, which again would be great. I'm still a little cautious, but man, to get 3 top shelf, really high quality comic book films in a row, is it too much to hope for? Here's hoping. All right, what's next?
Anonymous, hey everyone. I know the Oscars did away with the nominees for Best Original Song having a live performance, but with Wicked having 2 new songs and Sinners, do you think they will bring back live performances?
I hope not.
If so, a montage, like a thing that's just a one thing opener.
I think they finally cracked the code on how to properly do it was last year. Listen, I'm sorry, but when you're talking about a best supporting actor, you're talking about somebody who's in like a movie for sometimes 20, 30 plus minutes of the movie. When you're talking about best screenplay, you're talking about something that is the impact of the entire 2.5 hour runtime of the movie. A song is literally in a movie for about 2 minutes and then gone. Not that it can't be impactful, not that it can't be great. I can't even imagine Top Gun without Great Balls of Fire. Or I can't even imagine, let's just go back to last year, Wicked without, and it's great. It's great. But you cannot, you should not, you must not take up that much screen time at the Oscars for something that takes up so little time in a movie. It just makes no sense. Again, the way they did it last year, they finally cracked the code on it, and I don't think they should change it. All right, what's next?
We got No, we did that one. Okay. Anonymous, why would the potential for Zelda be higher with live action versus animation? I would have thought you could do more with animation while still not breaking immersion compared to live action, which will be 60% animated anyway. Let's be real.
No, it won't. No, it won't. Live, you just have the opportunity for this movie to be really special. The potential for that is much higher if it's live action. And look, you're talking to somebody who's a major animation. I love my animated films. We just talked about some of my favorite shows and all that kind of stuff. But you have an opportunity to do something special with Zelda. You can make a good, fun movie if it's animated. Absolutely. But if you could make something epic live action, you really would have done something that I think will, let's put it this way. You make the Zelda movie an animated movie, you know who's going to go see it? People who are fans of the Zelda game. And that can be a lot of people. But you make a really good live action version of Zelda, you'll get people who've never played the game going to go see it. And I just don't think that's the case if you do it animated. And to do it in the medium of live action, to bring it into a format we've not seen it before, to give it a whole new kind of manifestation. Again, I just think the potential, listen, it still has the potential to be a disaster, still has the potential to be terrible. Absolutely. But the upside potential, I think, is greater in this specific circumstance. I think the upside potential for it is far greater than if you just did it animation. Anyway, we'll see if I'm right. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but that's just the way I kind of see it for now. All right, we got time for like 2 more.
Okay, we got Cody Hunt Films. Have y'all been to a rooftop cinema club? Yes, there's about 10 locations in the U.S., including LA. Tonight is the grand opening of Kansas City location. I'm excited. They're playing one of my favorite films, La La Land. Should be a fun night. Yeah, we have street food cinema. We have rooftop cinema club, and I love
right in Hollywood. What's that rooftop one right in Hollywood? It's on top of the Montalban, isn't it?
Montalban. That's rooftop cinema.
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember my first time I went to that. It was a great night. Really fun environment to watch a movie.
Yeah.
They showed Ghostbusters.
Oh, nice.
That was Have you been to that one before?
I've been to the Montalban, the rooftop cinema. They're in downtown LA too now. And then we both know the Cinespia, the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Guys, if you ever come to LA and you want to see an outdoor theater in the summertime, whatever, when it's running, come out to the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, picnic in the cemetery with your friends, and watch some Hollywood history. It's fun.
You know what's funny? I don't know that if I still have the picture of this. I'm going to take a quick peek if I can. But you mentioning the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Mm-hmm. Okay. What is the name of the guy from the Scream franchise that was married to Courtney Cox?
Oh, not Arquette.
R. Kelly.
Yeah.
R. Kelly.
No, I was going to say Arquette, but not Arquette.
David Arquette.
Oh, it is Arquette.
Yep,
okay.
David Arquette. So, you know what? I do have the picture. Okay. Here's something fun.
Okay, you got it? All right.
My first trip to LA, I was doing the movie blog.
Uh-huh.
Now, the movie blog was at its peak at this time, right? So I came to LA and I was writing up, I'm visiting LA. I'm in LA for the first time. And I get an email from a guy claiming to be either the agent or one of the reps of David Arquette.
Mm-hmm.
And says, David is doing a screening tomorrow night of his new film. Trying to remember what it was. It was about a guy. It was a little horror movie he did. I think he directed it, where the killer was wearing a Ronald Reagan mask, and it was released on 4/20. Sort of thing. Anybody in the live chat remember the name of the movie? Let me know. And this was my very, very first trip ever to LA. This is like 16 years ago. No, it wasn't Eight-Legged Freaks. And he said, they're doing the screening at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which I thought, that's an interesting place to do a movie screening in a cemetery. Remember, I'm not from LA.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. And like, you got to understand, I'm a nobody now. I was really a nobody at the time. And the fact, like, to me, this was like, what? David Arquette wants me to come to whatever. Okay. So they invite me to come to this thing. And so here's the pic. And that's like 16 years ago, that David Arquette meeting me at The Tipper. That was it. Patrick got it.
The Tipper.
The Tipper was the name of the movie.
Or Tripper.
The Tripper. That was a fun little movie, by the way. It was a fun little horror film. And I had a huge crush on Courtney Cox at the time, and they were still married. So I got to meet her that night as well. So that was a really, really fun night. And that was at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Yeah.
That they did the screening at it for. So anyway, little blast from the past.
It's a very LA thing to do, but it's fun. It's not one of those things where it's just like,
people
touristy.
bring picnic blankets and it's a really cool experience.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
All right, we got Anonymous says, checked out Dexter Resurrection yet? I was done with Dexter after New Blood and haven't seen Original Sin. But after seeing the first episode of Resurrection, I'm hooked again. It's really good. But you liked
Original Sin.
Yeah, you liked Original
I was
Sin.
done with Dexter after First Blood as well.
Yeah.
I was done with it as well. But then people said, John, you really got to check out this Original Sin. And I loved it. I mean, it's not as good as the original Dexter series, but it's really good. So that has got me reinterested in watching this new series, but no, I haven't gotten around to watching it yet. And I've got to do that. I mean, tonight I'm going to see the new, what's his name? Dave Franco's Together. I'm going to go see that tonight. And then tomorrow I'm seeing Fantastic Four, but maybe sometime this weekend I'll get around to watching the new Dexter because I do want to see it.
We got one more here.
Oh, we do? Just one more? All right, let's get caught up then. Let's finish
come to the end. Dan V, what are your thoughts on the Predator Badlands trailer? I'm really looking forward to it with the Weyland-Yutani android. I'm choosing to believe they're setting up a new AVP film. I'm ready to be wrong. Disney released the 10-episode AVP anime Locked Away.
That doesn't mean that means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. I loved the new trailer. Now, some people may ask you, John, why didn't you make it a topic? The reason we didn't make it a topic is because the day that came out, we literally had 8 topics.
And then it turned into 9.
And we never do that many. We normally do it like today. We normally do about 5.
Right.
Sometimes 6. And that day was so packed and we just didn't have room
Not to
for
mention,
it.
we also talked about Ozzy. So
yeah, then
we
Ozzy
covered
passed
a lot.
away. The news from Ozzy broke, passing away as we were doing the show. So it was that. It's like, there just was like, and that's too bad because I really like the trailer. And I think, what's her name?
Crap.
I'm freezing on everybody's name today, but whatever. What's her face looks really good in it as the android.
Yeah.
Elle Fanning,
yeah.
Dakota's sister.
Yes, Dakota, yeah.
She looks great in it. This is a great example of a trailer moving the needle. This actually moved the needle for me. I'm getting really excited about seeing her. I think it looks way better than the first trailer. And I liked the first trailer, but this one was way better. So I liked it a lot.
Nice.
And that's it. We finally got all caught up on the tip questions. Guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show a part of your day. A big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Hey guys, don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow, and keep your eyes open on the channel later tonight if you're around and if you're awake for me putting up my out of the theater reaction to the new Dave Franco film. It looks great. It's getting some really good advanced buzz. Together. It looks like a fun little horror film. Anyway, guys, for Robert Meyer Burnett, for Jonathan Voico,
see you guys.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.